RWBY Volume 3, Episode 11, Heroes and Monsters. Now, this is definitely the type of episode that I kind of wish I did a live reaction for, because there are several parts I was just like I couldn't, just some of the crazy stuff that happened in this one, I couldn't believe happened. We had multiple deaths, one of which I'm still not 100% sure. Roman, I'm hoping he's not dead, because it would really suck if that was the way that he died. So I'm hoping that in some weird RWBY sort of way, he's inside of, I believe it was a bigger version of a griffin that ate him. It wasn't actually a Nevermore. But I'm hoping that him being inside this thing's belly or whatever kept him alive when it crashed, and somehow, he lived from that or whatever. But we get to see Roman get eaten, possibly. We get to see Neo come back, and she fights against RWBY, and she kicks her butt just like she, beat up Yang. And same sort of thing. We also see her change visually. And I was wondering, I was like, is that a form of technology like camouflage, or is that like dust? Possibly. Could that be a thing? Like with Cinder and Good Witch, where, they have dust in their clothing and it kind of translates to magic, in a way. Could that be the same thing? Is it a semblance? I'm still trying to figure out, like, if that was a part of it. Because, of course, it was very different visually than the sort of glass shattering sort of deal, which she does in this episode, and she doesn't move, and then poof, she shatters, and then here comes Roman, and then she popped up out of nowhere again because it was RWBY and Roman, on the rooftop, and then, poof, there's nothing there. So I really don't know exactly what her semblance is. I was just constantly trying to figure out. I just still don't understand. But that was a crazy moment. We got to see Velvet use her abilities, which I have to have the episode playing on my phone just at random. And it's at Velvet's part, and I like her power. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought for sure it was going to be something magic based. I thought mostly because I thought it was like a box, and so it was like, kind of like the good version of Pandora's box is kind of how I always saw it from the last season. And it turns out that her taking all these pictures allows her to not only make sort of like three-dimensional constructs of everyone's weapons, but it allows her to instantaneously copy their abilities as well, which I think is very cool. And it's a weird blend because it makes me wonder if it's specifically her semblance, or it's like a mixture of her semblance and her weapon. I would assume that the camera is, kind of the weapon, but I would think that it's possibly her semblance that gives her the ability to switch between the weapons, because she obviously is a bit of a mage, because she switches, it's kind of just at random where she switches with weapons. But it was really cool. I like that idea. I kind of like the design too, where it's like basically the 3D models before they're finished of all the weapons, and they're just like, polygons, they kind of look like. So I thought that was pretty cool. I would have loved to have seen it be magic based, to be totally honest, though I was really surprised when she was taking out everyone's weapons. And one of my favorite parts about that is because it was a great, great callback to a lot of previous things that we've seen before. So the music was from Volume 1. It was I May Fall, which is shown in, like, I want to say it's the second episode, because it's Weiss's ending in the very first season. And so it's I May Fall, which I thought was really cool that they did that, because I don't believe they actually play that song all the way through in the first season, but it's one of the, season 1, or, Volume 1 songs. So I thought it was very cool to get that. We got a lot of different moves, and, of course it starts off with RWBY's weapon, and they do kind of the visual effect from the trailer. And when they have Velvet uses Penny's weapon, she does like the laser attack, which she'd never seen her do before. So I thought that was pretty interesting, because, once again, that possibly her semblance, and it's like if she activates that in conjunction, with her weapon, if that's how it, how it works, then, she can kind of just think about it on her own, like, okay, this is possible, so I'll do this. So I certainly enjoyed that. I like getting to see some of the other characters fight as well. We got to see Team Auburn fight. We got to see Sun and his team fight a little bit more as well, which was pretty cool. One thing I noticed for sure from, Team Auburn is the very first team that RWBY fought. The one girl I mentioned from the last episode that I wanted to see fight, she was kind of shooting like fireballs, like Liu Kang or something. So I'm wondering if that is her, if that's like her weapon or something, or if that's somehow her semblance. So far we haven't seen that where someone's semblance is actually just a flat out weapon. And I mean, even Blake's, which is very like very elusive as far as being a semblance, and I guess she could only use it for defense. We haven't seen it yet, but I would love it if somehow she got more powerful and you know it allowed her to make full on clones. That'd be pretty sweet. And Yang's is kind of that way, but in a sense it's defense as well. Like she just absorbs the power. But I don't know. I thought it was very cool. Like just getting to see other people fight, and she's shooting fireballs, and that was something she certainly didn't do in her fight against RWBY. Like Team RWBY. So I thought that was a cool little thing. Of course, we have Jean and Pyrrha with Ozpin going down to see Amber and trying to do the transfer of powers and stuff. I was really hoping. I was like, okay, this is one of those moments where she has feelings for this guy. She's possibly about to change. We have no idea. She doesn't know or anything like that. I was like, if she just kissed him right here and was like, I'll explain everything later, that would have been the perfect moment for that to happen. But the ultimate tease, and she just gets in it and stuff, and I was freaking out. I was like, what's gonna happen? Because I felt she would change, especially with how dark things got. I felt like she would get the power, but she'd be so drastically different, or maybe it would just take a lot of time before she was back to her normal self, that it would be a win, because she'd of course help everyone defeat all the enemies, but she wouldn't be the same Pyrrha anymore. But that doesn't matter, because here comes Cinder, and just back with with her old weapon, apparently, just straight to the heart, and she gets all the power. So she is the ultimate villain at this point. She refers to someone that apparently she and Ozpin know, because she's like, she was so right, you're very arrogant. Who knows what the heck that means and who she's talking about. I would assume it's whoever she was talking to during like the flashback episode when she was on the phone. So we're going to get to see that take place. We don't really see much of the dragon in this episode either. It's in the very beginning of the episode, but then it's kind of gone. Like, it doesn't actually show up anymore, and it's not like the big issue that I thought it was going to be. So they're saving that somehow. I don't know how they're going to do it with this next episode being the finale, unless it's going to be a full 30. I don't know how that's going to be even remotely important compared to some of the stuff that happened by the end of this episode. So we have Cinder at full strength. We get to see Velvet's ability. We get to see Crow actually change his scythe, or change his sword into a scythe. So that was very awesome, and he which came right after another crazy epic scene, which I didn't expect to be a big reveal. But when Ironwood shows up and he's like almost half robot, that really surprised me. I thought for sure, okay, he lost his arm. It's obvious he had like the white glove and everything. I knew from the beginning he has one white glove on. His other hand is just, free to be whatever. He has a robot arm, which was somewhat revealed. I mean, it wasn't a surprise to me, but it may have been to others. And then this episode, he's just all tattered up. He's he's topless. And it's just like, just all the way down, he's robot. And then even on his pants, both sides were kind of tattered, and you could see it went all the way down his body. So something happened to him, and it reminded me of the episode where Yang was like, seeing things that aren't there. Maybe he meant parts of his body, like he had, like I mean, I don't know how big the technology is, if they have like Star Wars style stuff where you can get a limb chopped off and it gets replaced, and you can feel it, when people touch it or something, because they have that. So I don't know if that's what he meant, where you have like phantom limb is what it's called, where you kind of have the same feeling where you would have a limb, but he's like half robot almost, so he thinks he has these feelings, but he just mentally has control over that side of his body, but he can't feel anything. So I don't know if that's what it was, or maybe it's something like even crazier than that with actual hallucinations and seeing people. But that was a crazy reveal. I was surprised to see that he was like half robot. Him thinking Crow was about to attack him, I thought was a cool scene, because he's like, I didn't do this on purpose, and he thought Crow was still coming at him, but he still flips the gun upside down, because he's like, I'm going to defend myself, because I don't want you to like chop me in half, but I'm not going to kill you. Like he could have, I don't know, I mean, that gun is clearly insanely powerful, and he's got like Terminator vision, because he was doing like some Devil May Cry stuff where he's just like shooting, and he did one where you're just like boom around his back. And I'm like, that's like Dante or something. So I like that. I would love to see him dual wield, because that would be funny. But that was a cool little moment. He like flips the gun upside down, like, I'm going to defend myself. But of course Crow just jumps past him and slices that freaking griffin in half, and that was a really cool scene. But it was nice. I love the transformation of the sword into the scythe. An insane transformation too, because it was just such a drastic difference. Because he holds it, and it's like, all right, well, he holds it in, it's a dual wield blade, and then when it transforms, it's like a full on scythe where it has like this super long um, handle. I was like, man, that's a crazy transformation. Like I knew it would like curve and stuff, but it was like that doesn't even. That was like some Transformers type stuff. Where I'm like, I don't think that technically would fit inside of that, but it looks super freaking awesome, so it doesn't even remotely matter to me. But that was very cool. Hopefully they get to Ozpin in time, because I thought for sure, I was like, we've so much stuff has happened. I thought they were just gonna end it like, oh, Cinder's just gonna like blow Ozpin away, and there won't even be a fight here, and she'll just destroy him. So I hope he doesn't die, of course, and I do hope that they reach him in time. But then we have all this other madness, which might be how he ends up dying if he does die. With mostly with the dragon, if that does come into play, which it kind of has to. They might have to take on the dragon, and they might not get to Ozpin in time, and he might just be fighting Cinder by himself, and he's going up against a maiden, and that just won't work. As strong as he might be, which I do want to see him fight because I'm very excited for it. I'm really freaked out, with what's to come for that. And then I'm trying to make sure I cover everything before I get to like just the moment that just destroyed me. But let's see, we lost Roman, possibly. I do hope he survived. Who knows where Neo is going? She's like had a little Mary Poppins moment and just flew away. So we might see her in this next episode. I don't know. Velvet's ability, Crow's blade switch, half human, half robot for Ironwood. Some other just random awesome action scenes. I think that's pretty much everything. And then of course, Adam and Blake. I wanted to see this forever, ever since the trailer. Oh, okay. Before I get to it, one last thing I just remembered. Weiss, I totally called it. She did do the construct. She did like the it looked like the armor suit from the trailer. I read a comment that said it was like a half mech, half Grimm type thing that she destroyed. Apparently, from the I forgot the name of it when they like were in their alternate costumes, basically from that episode. And apparently there's like some manga adaptation, which I didn't know about the show. But that was very cool. Totally called that. It was, of course, it was basically exactly like I said. She was in this heightened state, of adrenaline, basically. And it was really cool when she was using the glyphs as well, and she was, like, basically running at super speed. And then it kind of forms behind her and stuff, and I was like, I knew that was going to happen. Very awesome to see. I didn't care if I called it or not. I was like, very awesome to see. And it's only the start. It was just an arm. I thought for sure it would be, like, a full construct, or I guess I thought maybe it would be like just a giant blade would shoot out, but it was just an arm, so it's still just the start of it. So I'm very excited to see that expand. But that was really cool too. And then, just the final stuff. Adam and Blake. Blake had an interesting position in this episode because Adam was saying a lot of stuff that I wasn't expecting him to say. He said love like 3 different times, and that could just be a language thing because people do it, like a British thing, or is sorry love, that's just sometimes what people say. But I couldn't tell 100% if that's what it was or if they were actually together, because Blake has only mentioned Adam as like a mentor. That's kind of how she mentioned it before. But they could have been more. I mean, we only technically having them together, all we've ever had was the trailer and the flashback episode, which was really only one scene with the two of them together. So I don't know now, based on him having said that so many times, I'm like, is that like an actual relationship, or was it just really like a part of his speech pattern? But of course, we have a crazy moment where, they're talking and stuff. It wasn't like crazy action packed, but it was definitely like the craziest freaking moment of the entire episode. Because he's messing with her. He's basically kind of taunting her almost. And I didn't think that he'd have this much power over her. And I never, his ability from the trailer where he can just take stuff and it, becomes his power. I hadn't considered that since, the trailer was like, that's a very awesome power. But I honestly never considered it as he can just, boom, he just takes something and it's his now. And that's what he did. And they showed it simple at first. And they're talking, and Blake, tries to shoot him, and he's just like, boom. And it was like a couple of shots, and he lit up, and his katana lit up and stuff, and he, puts it back down, and it kind of goes away. And then they're talking, and he knocks her down, and he stabs straight through her. And that I thought was interesting because he stabbed her, and it was like it was, kind of like nothing, because people get shot and cut and all this stuff, but you can't die unless your aura's gone. And someone mentioned that in the comments where his blade could possibly stab straight through, and that could be the case, but she wasn't bleeding, and that's kind of what I was wondering, if he did stab through her and it went through all of that. I mean, because it looked like he stabbed straight through her, which is why I thought she might die for a second, which is insane. But I really thought, just, it's such a crazy freaking episode. I was like, I don't know if I can honestly be okay right now and assuming stuff, because it was a nuts episode. But he stabbed her, and maybe it went through, maybe it didn't, and it was just like a normal cut or something. But either way, that led to the craziest moment in the whole episode, where Yang finds Blake, and she goes all out. I think that's probably the angriest we've ever seen her. And I honestly thought something else would happen. I thought she would probably just shoot like a blast, and it would be like some Dragon Ball Z type stuff, or something just insane like she'd never even done before. But she charges at him, and basically his power is kind of like hers, but instantaneous, and probably more deadly because he uses a blade to do it. And he basically just takes all of her fury and just slices her arm clean off. And when it first happened, I instantly went to the trailer, and I swear I thought that she was going to turn into a bunch of petals and just be dead. And it was crazy, but then they showed like the arm separate, and I was like, okay, that's still really insane, but at least she didn't just like evaporate and was gone from the series, because that would have probably destroyed me completely. But she has her arm chopped off. Biggest thing to note right after that, of course, because she lost an arm, is the fact that what they showed was not red at all. She was completely gold on the inside. I don't know if that means something good, or if it's just a weird thing with the show where maybe people, based on their colors or whatever, that's what they look like if they get chopped open. I don't know, but that said a lot to me. She, it was just like boom, chopped, and she has like a glowing, wound. So I don't know what's gonna happen. Obviously, I would assume she's gonna get, a replacement arm. They have robotics, so we'll probably get that. Um, I can't wait to see how they do this. I don't know if she's going to have to fight in this next episode. She might still have to fight. And it just depends on how things are. Because, of course, that was technically the only hit that she got. But, of course, she could be in shock. And so she won't be able to fight. But if she's not in shock, she would be able to. Depending on how they do the whole bleeding thing and what's going to happen with that. But I couldn't believe that happened. And then, of course, they had a crazy moment with Blake doing the escape, and she has like the fake. They do a fake decapitation, and I was just like, when it first happened, I was like, I don't know. It was pretty quick to tell that it was fake, but I was like, man, this is too insane. So Adam, just way crazier than I was expecting him to be. Like, he wasn't. It wasn't like the sort of iffy thing where it's like, I don't want to attack you or anything like that. He was full on evil. And I kind of love that about him. I thought it would kind of be they'd have a conversation, and they did. But he was much angrier than I thought. I thought he'd feel betrayed and be like, I don't want to do this to you or anything. He was just like, you know what? You betrayed us, and I'm going to destroy you. And he was like a super villain. He was like, I'm going to destroy you. But first, I'm going to destroy everything you care about, starting with her. And it was the craziest thing. Like, he is like an evil genius right now. He doesn't give a crap about hurting the person that betrayed him, just like ending them. He wants them to suffer and be broken, and then he wants to destroy Blake. And it made him an epically badass villain. Like, I knew he was going to be cool, but it wasn't even insanely epic, fight style like it was in the trailer. And that's what I always wanted, but this ended up being way sadder just because of what happened with Yang, but a million times crazier and more entertaining to see because it was very unexpected. So, of course, looking forward to this season finale. Sucks that it's at the end, but I don't know what to think. It's freaking nuts. They've certainly held true to the opening for this season, which I'm very glad that they did. And I mentioned that before, that they kind of didn't do that in the last volume, and I thought they would. And they kind of did a little where Cinder was obviously building up her plan, but ultimately the closest thing to like any of the destruction was the finale, and that was pretty much it. But this was like true darkness, Penny being gone, well, Roman being gone, he's one of the villains, but with Yang and just everything that's happening, and Cinder being at full strength now, I don't really know what to expect for this finale, but of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts. I think we can all guess our... It's probably one and the same with the whole Yang thing, but I do want to know yours. Mine is definitely the Yang thing. It's favorite and least favorite because yeah, she lost an arm. That sucks, but looking forward to seeing what they do with that. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about just all the crazy epic moments, whether it was even the simple reveals like actually seeing Crow's scythe, in its scythe form, seeing Velvet's ability, any of that stuff I want to know about. Of course, I want to know your expectations, and speculations, and just what you want to see from this volume's finale. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.